EGM Network.
Welcome to America from Bill Crafton here in Vero Beach, Florida. This is sponsored to you by Sir Paladin LLC. And if you watch previous broadcasts, Sir Paladin LLC sells third-party tax certificates to third-party people. And we buy them from the county and we sell them to you. And we take the risk from the county. And if you buy them from me, you take the risk from me. So that's our sponsor, Sir Paladin LLC. And I always like to mention Evergreen Media. I don't know if you guys can see that out there. Evergreen Media, right? They're absolutely fabulous. This guy Jesse here, I like to call him Jesse James, but I feel like Donald Trump making names for people, But he's a real gunslinger when it comes to podcasting.
Hey.
I want you to know that, Jesse. That's how I feel.
Thanks, Bill.
And, I didn't leave home without my American Express card today.
Yeah.
And I don't do podcasts without Jesse James here. Jesse, unfortunately, Jesse, you on vacation next week?
Not next week, but the week after.
Oh, the week after.
St.
Okay, so I
Patrick's
might
Day
have to
week,
do one without him. So
right.
we might have a violation of that rule, right?
Yeah.
As we have said in all past podcasts, we're trying to find the truth here. Justice in American politics, right? Mm-hmm. Truth and justice in American politics. There's Joe Friday from Dragnet. I'm changing the theme now. We're going to be Bill Friday from Vero Beach. And as everybody knows, I'm not a Republican and not an American. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an American. And I feel Americans deserve better than what we've been getting from our politicians in Washington. So I hope you feel that way, because if you feel that way, we got to vote them out and change the politicians in Washington to be more responsive to the needs of the American people and not the billionaires. So the goal of the program is we don't want to build hate into politics, We want to eliminate hate in politics. Diversity, the division in politics, the Republican Party and Democratic Party, they like to divide us, Oh, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat. No, I'm an American. And that's how we should all look at it. We're an American. And if Republicans are dominating, Democrats are dominating, terrible thing, right? They should be looking after all Americans. And now moving forward, I'm already on my 5th podcast. Is that right, Jesse?
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think it's number 5.
I got a bunch of questions I didn't tell Jesse the answer to. Boston Red Sox, number 5. 1964, who was he?
I don't know, Bill.
George Scott.
Okay.
And you know what they called George Scott?
I don't.
The Boomer.
All right.
And he was quite a baseball player. It's really unfortunate he didn't get to the Hall of Fame, but that's the way it goes.
Right. No more wear number 5, too?
Well, I got more on number 5.
Oh, okay, great.
Back in 1958,
All right.
On the Little League, South Lawrence East Little League Tigers team. Guess who wore number 5?
Was that Bill Crafton?
That was Bill Crafton.
Hey.
You got that one. I wore number 5, and I was real excited to be on the Tigers, and I had a coach who was a cop. His name was Jim Toomey, and he was long gone, I'm sure. But Jim was a great guy. He was a cop, and he wasn't intimidating anybody. He was just a great cop in the neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
The kind of people you could fall in love with. They're so nice,
Yeah.
And Jim was a great guy. So, and we'd like to see all cops like Jim. You can deal with people like that.
Yeah.
I got another number for you.
All right.
Basically, 1966. What's significant about that, Jesse?
It's the year after the Civil Rights Act. That's all I know. I don't know.
Okay, well, that's the year I graduated from high school.
All right, very good.
Guess what?
What's that?
I'm out of high school 60 years.
Hey, all right.
And we're still breathing, right?
There you go.
And there's a guy, Tom O'D, I'll call him. He's very helpful when I do these podcasts and stuff like that. I contact him 2 or 3 times a week. I bother the hell out of him, but he gives me a lot of good feedback. So, and he's also a class of 1966, Lawrence High, and what the Central Catholics used to call us the mill, because we had all kinds of mills in Lawrence back in those days. So that's what we were known as, the Mills versus the Red Raiders. So.
Okay.
And we did pretty good on them until about the 70s, and they started beating us up. Okay, the FBI was still looking for that cheeseburger, and fries. You hear any? You got an update on me with that, Jesse?
I don't have an update for you there, Bill. No.
Any impeachment activity with Pam Bondi?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know. Nor am I. I'm just in case maybe you something I know. What about Christie? I hear she might not no longer be in charge of her department.
Yeah, Christy Noam. Yeah, out yet as of yesterday.
Yeah. I wonder what happened there, Jess.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my only question with Christy Noam, they were ordering her a brand new jet so she can fly around the country. I wonder what they're doing to the jet. Does she still get to use the jet, or does she not?
Yeah.
I haven't been able to figure that out yet.
Yeah, do they cancel the advertising budget? I don't know.
I don't know. Hey, listen, if you're unhappy, we're trying to be funny here a little bit. If you're unhappy with the federal government, America deserves better. We got to vote the politicians out.
Yeah.
We got to change politicians, because if you don't change the politicians, and we all love our politicians, our local politicians. But if we don't change our politicians, it's never going to improve. Okay, moving on. This is an acid rain comeback here, right, Jess?
Oh, it's coming back.
All right. And we have we have an announcement from our EPA guy coming up.
All right, here we go.
And now the endangerment finding is hereby eliminated, as well as all greenhouse gas emission standards that followed. The red tape has been cut. Manufacturers will no longer be burdened by measuring, compiling, or reporting greenhouse gas emissions for vehicles and engines. And the forced transition to electric vehicles is eliminated.
Well, that's quite a clip when you think about it, right? Now, let me see. Allow unlimited toxic pollution from autos. You know what that means when it comes to the deal? They don't have to measure what the pollution they're going to put out in the new automobile. So they can put an unlimited amount of pollution, which we as Americans will breathe in, okay? Especially if you live near a highway, which a lot of us do now, Yeah. Endangerment findings is the core of the EPA. That's where they, basically got the jurisdiction to move forward and use pollution controls, and now that's all been eliminated. Greenhouse gases, they create global warming. Now, I know that the current administration doesn't believe in global warming, but you'll see a little bit later. Global warming is happening, folks, so I'm sure most of us know it. Cut the red tape. You know what that's code for? Yes, you got that figured out, Just cut the red tape.
Cut the red tape?
Yeah. It's remove all protections against big corporation polluters.
Yeah.
And they can pollute freely.
Yeah.
And an example of that, if I was going to look back, is you're going to look up General Electric. They polluted the Hudson River with chemicals, back when there was no EPA standards for them. Green energy, not a scam. Polluting America will not make it great again. Is the EPA moving us into the future? Or are we regressing into the past? At some point in time, I'm going to focus you in on China and how they're doing with their windmills, and their domestic windmills, domestic electric cars, and the domestic solar energy. They are the world leader in that. And the United States are moving backwards into coal for producing electrical energy, which is really bizarre. You want to create jobs? Create jobs in clean energy. Because we don't have a lot of it. We should be able to create a lot of jobs. Anyway, once we used oil for the lights on the street lamps in America, I'm not sure we're going to go that far back, but you can't rule it out, right? And what I say with, after the Olympics, USA, USA, USA is being left behind on the green energy front, and we're getting beat up by China. So pay attention to that, folks. Thank you, Jess.
All right, so this is Donald Trump with his clean coal message, right?
That's right.
All right.
The undisputed champion of Beautiful, clean coal. We have to proceed. Always, I don't use the word coal. You know, it needs a PR job because had a bad reputation for a while. So we're not allowed to say the word coal anymore. It has to be preceded by beautiful, clean coal. Okay? We're cleaning it up. Very good.
Hey, Donald J. Trump, the master of brainwashing, right?
Right.
And propaganda. So if you listen to that message he just gave us, unfortunately, he didn't mention any toxic pollution that comes with beautiful, clean coal. So that's the way it goes. State of the Union message. This is like a little recap of some things we did last week. State of the Union message. The energy costs will be picked up by the high-tech individuals producing all this AI stuff that costs need for a lot of electricity. This week they happen to sign a pledge to Donald Trump. They were in the White House, I think, on Thursday. All these AI guys, and they pledged they would pick up the cost. Now I suspect, based on everything I've been researching, that energy is going to come from beautiful, clean coal. Basically coal plants, which really have beautiful, clean coal. So they got 70 plus permits coming up that we spoke about last week. And that's going to supply the energy. So these people, without saying where the energy is going to come from in this meeting that they had in the White House, I'm guessing it's clean coal. And expanding the use of coal electricity, we are definitely regressing to the past. Remember, there will be no monitoring on the toxic pollution generated by the burning of coal. So, and moving on to the news hour with John Walk.
The Environmental Protection Agency is scaling back limits on toxic emissions from coal-burning power plants, clearing the way for them to emit more hazardous pollutants like mercury. Stephanie Sy has more on these changes.
Yeah, the mercury is we've seen this last week. So the mercury's major pollution. You got kids and stuff like that. You got to be scared of that mercury. Okay, Jess.
We've seen the Trump administration strip away greenhouse gas emission limits as well. But what makes this EPA rule different from what I understand, John, is this directly impacts human health. Remind us what the science tells us about exposure to mercury, its impacts on the human body, particularly babies and developing fetuses, and what you see as truly at stake here.
What's at stake is more mercury emissions that are a brain poison, and they poison and harm the developing brains of the fetus, of young children, babies, children all the way up to 12 or later, actually. So it is causing learning deficiencies, it is causing IQ loss, and that's in addition to all the other health hazards from rolling back the toxic soot pollution limit, which contributes to cancer and birth defects and infertility, miscarriages, and much more.
You mentioned that the amendments put forth by the Biden administration included a requirement for so-called continuous emissions monitoring at power plants. That goes away with this rule change under Trump. Talk about the significance of that.
I was even floored by this when I read EPA's documents today. They omit in the fine print that eliminating a continuous emissions monitor at a coal plant, and there are about 200 in the United States, will save that coal plant $14,000.
As we talked about last week, it's not the $14,000, right, what they're eliminating. They're limiting the monitoring of it, okay? That means unlimited amount of toxic pollution, mercury, and whatever else comes out of those coal plants, right? It will not be monitored, so no one will ever know how bad the pollution is. They're disguising it, right, under a $14,000. Oh, we're going to say $14,000. Big deal, right? This is USA. The science of monitoring the pollution coming out of these stacks is not going to be used. So we'll have no volume of the amount of toxic pollution that everybody's going to be breathing in. So this is my plea. As you found out, I'm 60 years out of high school, and I wasn't the best student. I was in the top 80% of my class, and I thought I did pretty good, Jesse.
Yeah.
You know what the top 80% is? Let me tell you, I wasn't really up there with all the smart kids, you know. That means I was the lower 20, you know, top 80, you know.
You made it.
It's amazing, yeah. But anyway, with all kidding aside, you got to know that you got grandkids, you got kids. If you live in New England, they got to stop burning these coal plants.
Yeah.
You know what happened back in the 80s? All those oak trees died. The St. Lawrence Common got clobbered, right? And all the commons, all the oaks, everything died. Acid rain. It kills fish in water. It's terrible. This is your chance. Vote them out. Unless you want acid rain, because you're going to get it. We need a change, and we need to make it quickly. Thank you, Jesse.
All right. All right. So now up next, this is the McDowell County, West Virginia tap water video.
Yeah.
Nowhere is the failure of government more clear than in the county's water supply, which at times is not clear at all. Few trust that it's safe enough to drink, and angry residents have documented the black and brown that oozes from aging pipes and contamination left behind from the coal industry. West Virginia's governor recently set aside $8.3 million in federal funds to upgrade sewage and water lines in McDowell, a drop in the bucket compared to what county and state officials say is still needed.
I don't have much to say about this. It's pretty much says it by itself. You know, beautiful clean coal is not beautiful clean coal. There's a lot of pollution, the ground pollution, air pollution. It's everywhere when you do a coal. So the video speaks for itself, and I want to move on now to something that's near and dear to me in a little way. Is forever chemicals.
Environmental Protection Agency is moving to roll back limits on toxic forever chemicals, rules that were just finalized last year. Joining me now, Emily Donovan, co-founder of Clean Cape Fear, a group on the front lines of this fight. Emily, remind us of what these chemicals are.
Yeah, so they're called PFAS, PFAS, polyfluoroalkyl substances, but we also refer to them as forever chemicals because they tend to live forever and there's no proven safe disposal method. We've learned that they are harmful even in small amounts, and they showed up in our tap water in extreme amounts, and they're also showing up all across the United States and in everyone's drinking water. And various levels. And so we've been fighting for 8 years to try and get drinking water standards to just protect us at the tap water level.
And what does the EPA ruling say, and what would the effect be?
Well, you know, the EPA was really only looking at a handful. So this is a class of chemicals. There's the EPA acknowledges that there's maybe 14,000 different types of PFAS to be known. But last year, when the Biden administration issued these first ever drinking water standards for PFAS, it really focused in on just a handful, about 6. And what the Trump EPA did this morning is they announced that they were going to keep 2, PFOA and PFOS. Those are kind of the 2 most well-known. They're also the 2 that are no longer in commercial use. Manufacturers voluntarily stopped using them about 10 or 15 years ago here in the United States. And then the other 4, these are the ones that are more commercially relevant, the ones that are being used in, you know, semiconductor manufacturing and other types of manufacturing, and were showing up in our drinking water. GenX was one of them. GenX was first discovered in Wilmington, North Carolina's tap water. And so those are being rescinded, which means the EPA has said that they want to review them and reassess and look at them.
That's really great, isn't it? The two that nobody uses anymore are very limited use. They're keeping the ban on those 2. The other 4 that's used all the time, they're going to bring it back and kind of review it, you know. And when they bring it back and kind of review it, it kind of sounds to me like the FBI holding on to the Epstein files. And they keep losing files, and what do you think, Jesse? You think they might might end up losing the information on those 4 particular chemicals?
I don't exactly trust them, Bill. No.
Neither do I. You know. So anyway, wake up, America! I'm telling you, it's like these guys are like crazy. If I got to quote Donald Trump. So why rescind regulations? That regulation's not going to kick in until 1929. I think they're rescinding it so they can lose it, you know? Yeah. If it's not in front of anybody, you know, you got to forget about it. They're going to put you to sleep. Mm-hmm. On a personal note, when you go to North Carolina, I happen to have a daughter living there with her husband and 3 grandchildren, and we love them dearly. Haw River, Lake Jordan and Cape Fear River Incorporated. If you look those up on a map, they all kind of run together anyway. She lives in Cary, and the drinking water in Cary is polluted pretty badly by forever chemicals. So I want to give everybody a shout out in North Carolina. If you're living up that part of North Carolina and your water source is there, don't be drinking that water. It may not do you really well. You might. I'm not going to say you got to get cancer. I can't say that, but I would switch the bottle, I guess, in that case. And earlier on, John Dickerson did that interview with that lady. Unfortunately, he left after Barry Weiss was hired by Paramount. Not only did he live, but 11 other folks left Paramount, the CBS Nightly News program, which is a big drop when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
But Barry worked out a really good deal. You know, the billionaires are kind of taking over the country. Barry had this little company that she owned, and she got this job at CBS's news director with no news director experience whatsoever. And then Paramount, a billionaire company, happened to give her $150 million to buy her company out. And I don't know what they're doing with that company, if anything. So I really don't know. I had no time to research it. But the bottom line is she made $150, and now she's like a vice president running CBS News. Right. So I think she did pretty good.
I'd say so.
And just FYI, I am boycotting CBS programming. I don't watch them anymore. And Paramount is, now is in a position to own MGM because the Netflix deal went south. The Ellisons will now control Paramount, MGM, TikTok, CNN, and CBS. And I was just wondering, do we still have monopoly rules in the United States that we use as guidelines to allow this stuff to go on?
Right.
That's all I had to say about those guys, Jesse.
Yeah. Yeah. We need some monopoly enforcement, I'd say.
Yeah, maybe. Something like that.
Something, yeah.
See if you find Doug up there for me, will you?
Sure, yeah. Doug and Coley?
Hey, there's a smiling guy. We'll run through this real quickly because it's in the previous one. Doug, he's a billionaire. Good luck to him. And he loves coal. And he was a former governor of North Dakota. And he's looking as happy like the fox guiding the hen house there. Yeah. He's really good. He's got a couple of sweet deals, a $125 million deal that Scott Bessent advanced him as the Treasury Secretary. So he's in good shape. It's all loan guaranteed by the U.S. Treasury. Lee Zellen, the guy that showed up early in the broadcast announcing all the changes, he happened to make some changes in the wetlands area for mining. And guess what? Doug owns mines and wetlands area in New York State. So if I was Doug, I'd be smiling happy as a clam, I guess, right? Yeah. He looks pretty happy there, right? Yeah. Moving on to the question. I got a question for Jesse.
Yes.
How many abandoned mines, coal mines, I can't say coal mines, how many abandoned mines in the United States of America, Jesse?
Abandoned mines in the U.S.?
Yeah, abandoned. What do you think? Give me a guess.
2,000.
How about 500,000?
500,000.
500. Look it up, folks. 500,000 abandoned mines in the U.S. And we know that I saw something somewhere, which I didn't broadcast you, but Donald Trump says we have a lot of regulations in place to deal with this. How much money did the great, beautiful bill budget that Donald Trump has divert? I think that means not allocate. Divert from cleaning up of abandoned mines. That new legislation. Come on, Jesse. You're putting the pressure on you.
How much you take away from cleaning up abandoned mines?
Yeah, how much
into new coal?
No, just cleaning up.
Or
didn't spend it. No, cleaning up mines.
Probably 10 million.
$500 million.
500 million.
Yeah. Remember, Donald Trump, he's going to be, he wants the guy with the clean water and the clean air guy, right? Yeah, right. You'll see him all the time. I want clean water, clean air, but he doesn't seem to move in that direction.
No.
Now, my favorite one coming up is the North Dakota one, if you can show that, Jesse.
Sure, yeah. This is North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
Yeah, Doug Burgum was the governor.
Number one, the first commercial wind farm in the state. And they said, no, it won't happen. Well, it did happen, and it was up and running. We had the lieutenant governor. The lieutenant governor came out to the dedication the day that FPL put on the banquet for everybody. And then they got in the school buses and drove out to the wind farm. And Jack Dalrymple, the lieutenant governor, he hadn't been a big supporter up to that time. And I remember our banker, Scott Tewksbury, was with him at the dinner table. They sat together at the school bus, went out to the site, and he stepped out of the bus and he looked up 250 feet in the air, and his words, 2 words, "My God."
When they first came, it was like a thing of beauty, and it was a novelty. And of course now, after, you see them so often that you don't even see them anymore.
Yeah, when all that stuff went on, guess who the governor of North Dakota was?
I don't know.
Doug Burgum. He was the governor. The guy hugging the piece of coal? He was
the guy hugging Coley?
Hugging Coley, that's right.
He was the governor when they put all those windmills in, huh?
Yeah. Do we have another one from North Dakota, Jesse?
We do.
Yeah, why don't you put that on?
First of all, it's the Saudi Arabia of wind.
Saudi Arabia.
There's more wind in North Dakota, and in terms of energy value, than there is, I think, in any other state in the country. And so it's a terrific place to put wind farms, number one. Number two, it's a terrific place to do business. North Dakota is a very pro-business state. The whole state welcomed us with open arms. And as a result, we've invested billions and billions of dollars there.
Yeah, in North Dakota, it seems like windmills are a big success, okay? They're producing a lot of energy with low cost, not causing any pollution.
Yeah, clean energy.
Yeah, clean energy. Yeah.
Low cost,
No cost, right? To spin those in, cost of installation, laying out the farm and stuff like that. I can't figure out why Doug embraces coal. He was the governor when that was going on. You think you might have learned something from that, Jesse? What do you think about that? You think you should have learned something from that project?
He should learn something from the project. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so none of this makes any sense to me, Jesse.
No.
But let's go cut the red tape and see what that means.
Among the changes, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin says this will roll back emission standards for vehicles going back to 2012. President Trump, who often refers to climate change as a hoax, promised cost savings from the rollback and shrugged off health concerns Americans may have.
I tell them don't worry about it because it has nothing to do with public health. This was all a scam.
In 2007, the Supreme Court found greenhouse gases are air pollutants subject to the Clean Air Act, and now environmental groups are preparing legal challenges to keep the endangerment finding in place.
This action flies in the face of science.
Dr. Gretchen Goldman is president of the Union of Concerned Scientists. She says the administration is allowing the fossil fuel industry to, quote, run amok.
We're going to see some immediate impacts of this, increases in emissions and health harms in communities.
Statements from several auto companies and groups are welcoming the changes, but add they are committed to reducing emissions. Erica Brown, CBS News, Washington.
I am now here in the Sphere with meteorologist David Yeomans, who does a lot of work on climate coverage, and there are some...
Hey, toxins being released by fossil fuels, health concerns. Don't worry, it's all a scam. If you believe that, I can sell you a bridge. Yeah. Cheap, Climate change is a hoax. No, it's not. and we'll see that later. The number one law of producing propaganda, okay, and this goes all the way back to the 30s in Germany, where I did this up. Repeat a lie often enough, and it becomes the truth. Remember, if you repeat a lie often enough, and that's all you hear, it becomes the truth, okay? We do have global warming in this country, and it's all toxic pollution. It's not good for your health breathing that air in. We got any river fires, Jesse?
We do, yeah. This is going back in time.
Yep.
Back before a lot of the EPA regulations, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so what's this? The Cuyahoga River in Ohio?
Yeah, just skip right through this and stop at the last one. Yeah.
Okay.
That's Ohio River. The rivers are catching fire here, right? Based on the pollution that was allowed to happen before 1973.
Mm-hmm.
You got one more there, Jess?
That's the last photo I've got for you, Bill.
Okay, all right.
We've got a video for you from back in California.
Okay, let's go there.
You want to show that video?
Yeah, show that
Crowded by
video.
the ugly mist, dangerous to health and traffic. Motorcycle messengers fight it their own way, putting on masks before driving about. Chemists report that the air pollution is caused by unburned hydrocarbon particles, an increasingly serious problem to U.S. communities everywhere. Meanwhile, city officials watch the smog charts carefully. So acute is the situation that just a tiny rise in the ozone density could spell disastrous trouble. Less concerned with percentages are the many already smarting from the irritating atmosphere. Barricades are made ready to stop traffic when and if the smog should reach the critical point. A very grim business indeed, as air pollution becomes a sinister menace to human life and well-being.
This is my brother-in-law and Danny that lives in California. Basically, right now they have an exemption for clean air, so that they can have some guidelines for that. But that can go away real quick. And Governor Newsom's not going to explain that right now.
This week, I submitted a formal comment opposing the U.S. EPA's proposal to rescind what is known as the endangerment finding. It was a 2009 landmark ruling that climate change caused by greenhouse gas emissions threatens both public health and welfare. The endangerment finding is based on science, not politics, and provides the foundation for years and years of key clean air regulations at the federal level, including rules that protect Americans from polluting cars and trucks. But now the Trump administration, they want to erase all of that, and they're relying on cherry-picked propaganda spoon-fed to the EPA by the oil industry. And if you don't believe, by the way, in science, they should believe in their own set of eyes. Consider this. In 2023 alone, we saw 28 separate natural disasters, fires and hurricanes and floods, each made more devastating by climate change. Those claimed, by the way, some 400 lives and cost $92 billion in damages. The EPA is siding once again with polluters over science and telling fire victims to ignore the flames, flood victims to ignore rising water, and parents of asthmatic children to ignore their kids choking. This is not leadership. This is betrayal. Betrayal of the American people that the EPA is duty-bound to protect. California will not wait. We will continue to lead because we have no choice. The lives and livelihoods of our people depend on it. We should be able to count on the federal government to do the same.
So in federal politics, we need to vote them out. Okay, I mean, that's pretty clear. They don't really, doesn't seem like they really care about people. So, and I'm a people person, so I care about people. So, and global warming, that's what it is, not climate change. Because climate change, what's a big deal? Global warming, that's a big deal, and that's what's happening. And we're going to show the last one, and then I'm going to get the heck out of here. Sorry it took so long, folks.
So this is a video demonstrating global warming, the surface temperature of the planet from 1880 all the way up until present day.
Pay attention to like 1980 when you start flowing up there, and you'll see all of a sudden things change quickly.
Yeah, warmer and warmer. The 70s, and now 1980. Yeah, now the whole planet is orangish red. 2-3 degrees Celsius over the average.
There we are. Okay, we've seen this before. It was in the last podcast, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But this is a NASA product that they put out. NASA. You might remember those guys. They used to shoot those spaceships up into space, right?
Oh yeah, NASA. Yeah.
NASA, remember that, right, Jesse?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Now we got Musk doing that, you know, and Bezos. You know? They're making tons of money off it. You know, they're doing pretty good as millionaires, if you know what I mean, Jesse. Right? So we used to do it ourselves, but I guess we're better off if they do it. You know,
somehow, yeah. Somehow got the contract. Yeah.
All right. So okay, the final message for me. You know, write your congressmen, vote them out. Change it. We need stuff to be done. It's got to get worse before it gets better. Thank you very much for today.
That's right. Please forward this podcast to every contact you have. The midterm election is critical to the survival of our country. The podcast should be treated as a chain letter. The messages in the podcast need to be viewed by millions of eyeballs. So let's get the ball rolling to restore dignity and respect in our country. All right.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right.
This guy's fabulous, man. I'm telling you, I want to do a podcast. Contact Jesse. What's the name of this company again, Jesse?
Evergreen Media.
Evergreen Media, right here.
That's right. Yes, this is the EGM Network. I'm Jesse Krisky. There's Bill Crafton.
Yeah.
All right. Wake up, America.
Thank you.